Is it good? Are we live?
1, 2, and we are live.
All right, this is the long trip. Welcome back. I'm your host Gary. This is co-host / tech guy Christian. Kind of went through that a few times now, and this is our fourth episode. In this episode, we're looking to talk a little bit about a few conspiracy theories that me and Christian kind of looked up and did a little research on our own and to talk about on this episode. And we want to talk about a few, depending on how quick we get through those. We're going to talk about a few apocalyptic scenarios and just kind of like what we would do in that situation. You know, we're talk about zombies and maybe a few other ones. We're just gonna spitball like what me and Christian would do in those scenarios and just kind of throw our opinion out there. But first off, let's talk about what we got going on this week, man. What are we doing this week?
Well, we decided to do a complete fast of everything but water, except I have green tea. I do drink it, but no sugars or anything like that.
Fucked up.
And I'll also drink unsweet tea.
Just
But
water.
only herbal teas, though. I'll
No
drink nothing like
food.
from McDonald's, but no food, no weed, no jewels, no vaping,
nothing.
just water.
Nothing but water. And we're doing it for 7 total days.
Yeah.
And basically what it's for is it's like a detox. It completely resets your body, like all the cravings that you're craving every day, like of hunger, like of carbs and sugars that you're craving. This is basically, it puts you through 7 days of not having anything, and it's like a reset button. And so what it does is it really helps you to it helps start diets really well. Like after this, we're gonna go back into a really kind of a strict diet, and it helps a lot with that because like I said, it's a reset. You see that shit? I caught that like a fucking warrior. Well, I don't care, but it still counts. But yeah, it's like a reset, and so when you're doing your diet, your body isn't craving all those sugars anymore.
The processed carbohydrates.
Yeah, that like when you start a diet, most of the time that's what you're craving. But since we're going a week of no food and fasting for a week, we're already starting out ahead. So when the first thing we eat will be good food, and we won't have any of those cravings.
Yeah, so we
anymore.
would just want, as long as we know just not to eat them, and just
Yeah.
realize not to eat them, which is the hard part, especially when I get high.
Yeah.
She hand me food, I'm just like, I'm going to eat it all.
Oh, scarf it
But
all.
I can't, so I'm going to have to control myself.
And it really is. It's a mind game right now. Because like I was telling Christian before,
My mouth has been watering for hours. I can't stop thinking about food.
Yeah, I can't either. It's like it's
I want a
you
burger.
versus your mind. This is literally a test to see which is stronger, your body or your mind. Because it's not like a scenario where you're like, oh, I'm out in the woods and I have nothing to eat. I have to scavenge and eat like that. No, you're getting pizza and fucking donuts all dangled in front of your face all day long for
weed.
7 days straight, and you're not touching any of it. It is a complete mind game, and it's just who's stronger, my body or my mind.
I agree. But this is our a month in now, though. 4th podcast.
Yeah, we've been doing this podcast for a month now. This is our 4th episode.
Oh yeah, we got hopefully many, many more to go.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're still working on getting guests in.
We plan on getting a new camera for this. We'll have it set up better because we won't have to care about the TV. And because the new camera, we're going to have set up specifically for the TV, just set right so you can read everything, you can watch everything. It's not too bright.
Exactly.
And we don't have to worry about all the light focusing and stuff with all the different
'cause
lights in the room.
Because lately they've been kind of shit on the TV. Like the lighting's been pretty bad. You can't read anything from the TV. You can barely see it. We're lucky. I think our last episode was the first one where you could pretty much just see the whole TV. But yeah, so we're working on that. We're gonna get a new camera and get 2 of them going. So one just for us, and Christian, the wizard, there can switch back and forth from them when we're talking about stuff on the TV, and that'll help out a lot. So it's a work in progress. We're kind of we're working on it. Obviously, we're aware that the lighting on the TV is shit and you can't read nothing, and we're working on it. It's just a issue of financially getting a new camera and getting it all set up and ready to go. We gotta run some tests on it, and we're hoping to get it going here pretty quick, though. So, who wants to go first on their topics? You or me? I don't care.
You can go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, so the conspiracy theory that I picked and looked into heavily was crop circles. And if you have no idea what a crop circle is, can you pull up the pictures of them? So go to one of the, that one. So this is this is an authentic crop circle. So I like that one. So what a crop circle is it's crops. It's out in the field, and these crops are just laid down. They're like bent over, and they're in a delicate design, and they're very intricate in their geometry. Like in this one here, for example, I looked into this specific one. So each one of those circles is exactly half of that circle, and so like, and each of them cross perfectly of their geometry. Like each point of the center of each of those circles coexists perfectly.
It's symmetrical, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And so what these things are popping up all around the world here well, not really lately. It's been coming around in the 60s and 70s is where it's kind of hitting heavy. And the big question is like, what is causing these? What the hell is doing these crop circles? Because they happen overnight. They are a nocturnal thing. So in the span of a nighttime, these just pop up all over the world. And so everyone's just wondering what the heck, why is this happening? And so a big thing that there is a difference in the crop circles. If you can look up like the weed one you just pulled up, like all those ones, those are all man-made crop circles. And what started the man-made crop circle thing was Doug Bauer and David Corley. And so these two, they back in, when was it? They admitted to hand making most of the crop circles done in England. They said that they made almost all the crop circles prior to 1987. And so this was a big flip. There's a dick one.
Yeah, I know. It's a little skinny needle.
So this was a big flip in the phenomenal of this, because up until this point we had no idea what they were from. And so with them admitting, and so how they admitted this, they actually made one. They made one and let the news and everyone go through it, through the crop circle, and then they were like, this is a real crop circle, this is authentic. And then they admitted, they're like, no, look, we made this like a few hours ago. Like, this isn't, like, we've been doing this. So that's how they proved it, is that they've been doing it. And so it completely opened up the door, because everyone was saying, oh, aliens are doing this. So it's cause it's happening overnight. This is crazy stuff. Well, what it really did is it opened up what the difference is between the crop circles. And there's a huge difference between the ones that are man-made and the ones that are made by something else. We don't really know what they're made by. And can you go to the stems ones? And so what the main difference is so when it's a man-made one, they'll use like boards on their feet or something like that to where there's no footprints. And they're just folding it over and crushing it down, right? Well, they realized this out of all the man-made ones, but then out of the thousands that they were finding, there were still 20% of the ones that were unexplainable. They did not know what caused them, because, like I said, when you go and step on the crops with boards and stuff, it'll smash the crops clear over, and it'll break them. It'll break them off at the end. They'll break. It'll bend and kink them. But the ones that didn't have that are like this. So right at the nodes, about an inch off of the ground, there would be some of these crop circles that are made that those nodes would bend and they wouldn't break, which is unexplainable in science today. That we have no idea how that these things could bend overnight. The research that they looked into was electromagnets, because they're like heated. There's a perfect one.
This one?
Yeah, they're like heated. So that's the only way that they can figure out how that these things are made. So you see that is not bent at all. It is perfectly, or that's not broke at all. It is perfectly laid over and bent instead of broken. And the only way that they figured out how this could happen is electromagnetics, or they basically heat this thing up, and it's a lot like bending wood. You have to steam the wood to bend it. It's a lot like that, and so they're still mind blown at how these come about, because, like I said, most of them are man-made. Most of them are, but then they're finding these ones that have unexplainable crops. And so to get a little bit more into the geometry of the circles, go to like the first one again. Not the very first tab, but yeah, that one. So like, that thing. Can you pull that up any bigger? I tried it before. Oh, this is why you're the tech guy. So I don't know if you guys can see in this video, but
they can see it.
In these circles here it's so much is happening. It just looks like a circle, but it's so much is happening. So on the outer rim here, all the plants are laid like a clockwise formation, and then it goes in like a foot or so, then they're laid the other direction, and then they're laid this way and that way, all of them laying completely different directions. So it completely throws out the theory that they're made by like a tornado or something random like that, because they would just be blown all over the place, ripped out of the ground, not intricately laid, and all of the circles are the exact same. So this one is laid just like that one's laid just like that one, and the edges is all laid differently. So like all the crops will be laid here, then all the crops will be laid a different way, and they're very intricate in how exactly, not only how they're made, the geometry of the circles, the size of the circles, but how the crops are laid down. And I'm talking, like I said, only in the ones that we can't explain, the ones that have bent nodes instead of broken ones. Those are the ones that we can't explain. And still, they have intricate designs all throughout the whole thing, and we have no idea what's causing these. They're happening overnight. They're only nocturnal. They show up, and it's just a mind-blowing thing. And some of the leading theories and leading scientists are suggesting, they're saying, well, it's aliens, it's all these things. Well, we don't know. That's why it's a conspiracy theory, is we really have no idea. And like I said, so most of them we can prove are man-made, but this still lays out the 20%, which honestly is a decent number. 20% of these, they're happening. We still have no idea how or why. Plus, the 20% that is happening, or the 80% that's man-made, those were all based off of some real one. Off of a real one. They seen this that happened, and they're like, all right, well, let's just fuck with people and make a bunch of them. And so that's what the Doug and David did. That's what they went and completely just started making a bunch of them all over England. And so the counts for what they've done, they accounted for around 200 of them, but there was still 1,000 circles that are not made by them, and they had no explanation of where they came from. There was still, I don't remember the exact number, there was over 1,000 that were not made by them, but they were made by other humans and they could prove it. And so like with them coming out and saying this, it's sparked like a huge movement to just start making a bunch of these in your fields, like the dick one and the pot leaf. Like everyone's just starting to make these all the time now. And so it's becoming harder and harder for them to figure out which one is which one is an actual phenomenal of unexplained sciences, which is just crazy hillbillies out running around in the field with boards on their feet, which is which. So, and like I said, the main difference is that they're bent over and not busted, because you cannot take one of the same crops just outside of this. So take a crop over here, and you're trying to bend it over like how it is in there, it will break every time. And so that is what they're trying to explain. And I think one of the best explanations of it is that they thought it could be a ball lightning, which they say, well, what could have happened is this ball lightning could have like formed right here or something like that, and just for whatever reason the properties of the plants just laid all down like this, which would explain the heat needed to bend them like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it just leaves so much question out of it. Ball lightning has never even been seen in most of the places that have the crop circles, so it really is just a spitball
What is ball
answer.
lightning?
So ball lightning is just like it's theorized for a lot of UFO sightings, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's literally a ball of lightning that just flies around. It just shoots around like lightning, but it's a ball. Look it up. We'll find a picture of it. Ball lightning.
Okay.
So like these videos here, or these pictures here, is what a ball lightning would look like. It's basically just a massive source of the lightning, and it flies randomly. We don't really know where it's going, but that's what they consider an explanation of the crop circles. Go down, or right there is that's like in a field of crops. This is a shitty picture, but in a field of crops you can see a ball of lightning there. I don't know if that picture's authentic or not, but like that's basically their theory of how they happen, is that. Then there's also
but like at the same time though, that thing was symmetrical though.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's
so
also
like it could rule out that theory. I mean,
it
that theory
basically
explains some of the things, but the way it was designed, it doesn't.
It's too intricate to have been just by some random thing like that. For wind or a tornado, for anything like that, it is too intricate for it to be.
I feel like the way it was designed and its symmetry, it has to be intelligently made.
Oh yeah, and that's what they're saying, is that humans right now don't have the capability of bending those plants without breaking them like that overnight. Like, we can do that. We have to do it in a lab with tools and all that stuff. We have to take the plants there. We can't just go out into a random field, leave no trace of any of us or any equipment or anything, and just completely do that. We can't. It doesn't happen. And so that's what leaves the question, like, well, okay, this is clearly an intelligent form of what, a crop circle. This is intelligent because of how they're laid, how they're symmetric and everything. But they're like, but this is beyond us. So
like
that's
something that science can explain, so therefore it rules in the possibility of it being made by something else.
Exactly.
Like purposely.
Exactly. And so a lot of them were Celtic symbols. I think this one's a Celtic symbol, which is like they were like old religion symbols, and a lot of them were like that, but also a lot of them, the Celtic symbols, were proven man-made, because so they found a few real Celtic ones that were exactly a Celtic symbol, and they were authentic. But then with Doug and David coming out and saying that they had put up a lot of these, then they re-investigated the ones that they thought were real. Then they found that only a few of them were actually still real, that just Doug and David had discovered that most of them were looking like a Celtic symbol, so they copied that and started making their own Celtic symbols and the whole thing. But so it still kind of leaves the question. It's like, are all of these man-made? Because there still is the potential to have them all man-made, even though that we don't.
I'm sure like someone could have found a way to do this, because as far as all you need is just heat and pressure, and so you got your arms and legs, but you need something to heat. Yeah,
that's the hard part about it. It's there's no trace of footprints or anything around it at all. It is just
because even like as they go on and as they would move through, they would either leave a footprint, or if they're using blocks, they would break it still, because they still have to walk through it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
Which, like I said, that's the hardest answer, and the reason it's a conspiracy theory is we don't know. We don't. We have no idea, or we have ideas.
This is perfect topic because I can tie this into my topic. You'll see. It'll be awesome.
And like I said, like this is just unexplainable theories, and is it aliens? I have no idea. It could be. I guess there's potential. There's the possibility it could be aliens. Yes, but is it? I don't know. Is it something else? Is it just like a spot in the earth that'll happen or that segment of the earth? Is it some sort of magnetic pole that is underneath the ground right there, and it just pulls the plants down like that?
Yeah, but then it goes back to the question that the way it was designed.
Exactly.
I'm sure a magnetic pole wouldn't make this completely symmetrical the way it is.
Exactly, and plus, if it did, that section of crops, it would happen yearly. That would happen all the time.
Yeah,
but it's random. It happens all over the place.
I don't think it would just also pull these ones down and these ones down and leave this one. It would have pulled these with them.
Exactly.
The whole area
it would have just been
the magnetic pole would reside.
Exactly. It's too intricate and too intelligent to have been done at random of Mother Nature's things is the main argument about it. And so I guess I'll leave it up to you guys whether you think that they're alien-made or man-made or whatever. I don't know. I guess until proven one way or another, I keep my mind open to it a little bit. It could be aliens, so I have no idea. Not a clue. I just thought it was a very interesting thing that just is happening all around it. I didn't know much about it, and I didn't know how intricate they were. I just thought it was, people smashing crops down is what I thought, but come to find out that there is a little bit of a mystery behind it, and I thought it was a worthy topic for the podcast today.
That would be good because I could easily tie it into my topic,
which we got to get to now.
You're only 13, almost 20 minutes in.
20 minutes in?
Yeah.
I'm about out of topics on that mine.
All right. Well, the theory or conspiracy theory I'm going to get into is the hollow earth theory, which is where there is two holes at the poles of the earth, and they're just holes that lead down into a segment of the earth where it's just hollow, or an area of the earth where it's hollow. Also, the other theory is that the whole earth is hollow. But the theory is that the earth isn't just hollow. There's something in it. There's an inside sun. There is an inside civilization, a whole underground world, and a more advanced civilization that lives and resides and inhabits. And it just looks just like Earth. Even some of the people I will talk about that have said they experience these things said that there's animals, there's lush green fields, trees, everything that we have up here. But in 1692, an astronomer, what's his name, Edmund Halley, he proposed that the Earth was hollow with a subterranean atmosphere underneath the Earth where plants and people could live. because it would be able to support life. Because, like I said, there would be a sun inside, which could be referred to as the Earth's core.
The core, okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was I saying? That it's just the area underneath, because there's the heat and it's not too hot, and there's water and land and plants, so you can still eat, and there are animals, you can eat animals.
Yeah.
So it supports all life. And Edmund Halley was the first one to propose that idea, and then in 1913, another dude named Marshall Gardner also argued that there was an interior sun in the middle of Earth that can be explored via an opening in the Arctic, which there has been, hang on, holes in Earth, poles, or Earth theory images. These are probably, oh, here's a good one I could use for later. But what this picture is showing,
yeah, there you go,
is that this area right here, the government doesn't allow people to fly in this area. And if you look on, I was looking at videos and images, which are hard to find, but there's videos on YouTube that shows you what gives you links and stuff. Of how certain things and photos were photoshopped and easily photoshopped, because a lot of the images are, the holes were, because they say that the government's trying to hide it, and that's why it hasn't it's not been released. Not everyone knows about it. But there's a hole there, and then through images I found and videos, it was obviously photoshopped, because you would look at the surrounding area and it looked right, it looked natural.
Yeah.
The clouds, the mountains, the ice, whatever. But in just this one area, it would all look blurry and just white everywhere, and all the images that I found.
Really? It makes you wonder why
it's even in the Antarctica too.
That makes you wonder why they're blurring it out.
But there was also other videos of when spacecrafts would fly over the poles. They would and there's a live video feed. They would cover it up or close it when during certain times and shit like that. So, which could
our government or just any of them?
Well, I'm mainly gonna be talking about our government.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was our satellite, but it was a satellite feed. I watched the video, and as they were going over the pole, there's a little shutter thing to shut the camera out from seeing everything else, just a little flap or something. And that just kind of makes you wonder more. And
at least it raises the question of okay, well, what are you hiding? Maybe not necessarily a hole, but what the hell? There's something there you don't want us to see.
But there was a video I found, he had lots of videos and stuff in his video of where is it? I don't remember which video I was watching, but in all the videos he had and all the pictures, like I said, he would show us live video feeds of the holes. You saw the holes.
Really?
And then he showed us just different pictures and different things. He showed us this photo of about how the government doesn't allow anyone to fly there, and pilots will tell you that. And so that's just another thing of make you wonder why the government is doing this, and makes you wonder more, like you said. But I wish I could find that video. I'm not on my account. And then later on, in that should be 1947, a man named Richard Byrd, which is the first actual, actually it might be 20 years before this, the first science evidence of the hole. But he flew to the north, and he says he found the entrance and went into it, and he has a secret diary which was revealed later or whatever.
Okay.
But And then he went there, and then when he came back, theorists said that he had to he was forcefully told to and made to cover up his story, all this shit he found and all that, whatever, anything, his discovery. But he went in there and he talked. The holes are concave, and so you could be able to fly and drive right in, I guess is the way they put it. Fly makes sense. I don't know about driving, but when he was in there, he was escorted by these, what we would say UFOs or unidentified flying objects, to a safe place to land. And then the people, he found civilization. Like, when he first went in, he was like, yeah, it was like, we found all this green, lush land, trees, animals under the brush and everything, but we're in the North Pole. None of this shit should be here.
Yeah.
And so they, continued flying, and then that's when they got picked up by those people, whoever, and was escorted to a safe place to land. And then they took him to their ruler, I guess, or president, whatever, some shit like that, and said,
the native people.
The person in charge, I guess, of the civilization, or the highest in the hierarchy. Where was it? He was they took him to the ruler, and they allowed him in and his people in because Richard Byrd was an admiral for the Navy. He was granted the Medal of Honor and a bunch of shit.
Okay.
And he said they let him in because of his high morality and high there's another word, or ethic, or he was just a really good dude, I guess.
Yeah.
And after they talked, they just escorted him out, and he came back and was like, wanted to present all this information and stuff, but was immediately was just shut down because from the government. And I don't remember the dude who wrote the article, but there was an article back then of a UFO magazine or something being it was written a detailed story of Richard Byrd and his experiences. But soon after that was released, the government stole or destroyed all the copies of that magazine, and then continued to destroy the facility and the text or the printing presses that it was printed on.
Jesus.
Which just makes you even wonder more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that was his first expedition was in 1947 when he went to the North Pole. But then he later went back in 1956.
He went back?
No, well, he went to Antarctica this time.
Okay.
He went to the South Pole. But in 1956, he led another expedition down there. And then I don't know where I wrote it in my notes, but there was something about him being attacked or something. I didn't go into too much of that part because I don't know if I believed it or whatever, but it said he was attacked by just random people and half his fleet was destroyed. I didn't go into so much that part of the story, so I don't know much about that. I'm just more focused on the whole.
Yeah, exactly.
And what the fuck is under there.
Yeah.
But when he was but he was immediately suppressed again. He was just the whole idea and him talking out and trying to present this information. It was the government just wouldn't allow it, and so everything he said, anything that the UFO magazine, I don't know if it was a UFO magazine, but it was some flying objects magazine or something like that, was destroyed, taken down, suppressed. But
what did he try doing the second time when he came back? Did he try the magazines again, or did he try a different?
Well, he didn't write the magazine I was talking about. It was someone else who wrote a detailed story about it. About his findings and stuff, and then eventually later on the journal or his secret diary was finally released and published, which also makes me wonder how much of that was altered, or is it even the real one?
Yeah,
I don't know who had the hands of it, but
yeah, exactly. If you're suppressing the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. What about the real journal is real?
But he also mentioned that when he was like down there, he like saw like UFOs, like flying saucers. So that's the way he described it, and said that they could fly pole to pole. And one of the things that he said that they talked about, because this was 1947 when this happened, or I think it was this expedition. It's either this one or the 1956 one. One of them.
Yeah, it's still
But
real early.
I think it was the 1947 one because they wanted to tell him about, like, since it was 1947, we just got done dropping like atomic bombs in like Japan in the early 1940s, like 1941 or whatever. 46. And they were talking to him about how they were scared and stuff like that because of atomic bombs. They were like, we don't want you guys to like fuck up the world and then end our own civilization and stuff like that. So they wanted to have a more outside presence, according to him. I mean, I don't know because we haven't seen anything. I mean, we've seen some crazy things, but can't explain them yet. Yeah. Which this could also, since this theory is people that live under there and stuff, and they are more advanced civilization, could be connected to like crop circles. I'll get more into that later. Yeah. Or like just the sightings. That's where they could be coming from.
So when I was looking into this a little bit too, and then I decided to change my mind and do crop circles. But when I was looking into it, a big theory was that like the ancient advanced civilizations, like the Egyptians, that those people in the center of the earth are descendants of them. Like they were that advanced and all that. Mm-hmm. They were descendants of them. They just went into that hole into the earth, and that's where they are now. It's like another explanation of all the things that are missing in the earth. Mm-hmm. Like, well, could be there.
It's because like all the like the statues, the pyramids, all the civilizations that were built, just we didn't have the tools or the evidence of that. We use those tools to build them, but it would take more advanced tools to be able to build crazy stuff like that. Which this could explain that too, and which it just makes it all more believable to me.
It's a theory that really does connect a lot of the dots.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot of questions that are just you don't quite know. It's a theory that kind of connects things.
But I wish I could find that YouTube video with all the pictures and videos. It's crazy. I'm on my account, so I can be able.
I wonder. So say this thing's real. This hole's real. Wouldn't our gravity around the planet, wouldn't it kind of
see that's the main argument against it, but because of it being a higher civilization or a way more advanced civilization, it could be they understand how gravity works and the matter that makes gravity and how it works and how to manipulate it and stuff like that. I'm sure that they might know things like that. I don't know. I wanted to know more, but I just didn't get too much into that.
Yeah, exactly.
Where is it?
I just was thinking about that because I was like, well,
I will speak about that a little bit because that is the main argument against it, and I have some notes for it. But oh yeah, that's what it was. I'm gonna pull up this video. This video right here.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'll let that mute. We can skip it.
Pull it full screen.
See, this was a video where they were going across the North Pole. I don't think you can really see anything in this picture or anything that I saw, but that was them closing and stuff, so make sure people don't see it or whatever they were hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that doesn't spark your curiosity, out of image, any just a myth, I will put side on North and
here's a picture at the North Pole where there is a hole or the clouds around a hole or whatever. I don't know. Is he? Oh,
that's pretty crazy. That's right a real picture.
Yeah, you can see it up here, right here too.
That's pretty nuts.
what looks
and these
like
are all real
some
pictures. And he
swirling
mentions how hard they are to find because the government wanted to suppress it and not make it available to the public. Here's another photo.
Crazy shit would that be though? If we had
the media.
This one was taken by the ESSA-7 satellite on November 1968. This photo right
access
here
to images of the North Pole taken by.
And that there's no cloud cover on that. That's why you can see that.
That's fucking nuts.
There's that picture. I'm trying to look for the videos. And this is that picture I mentioned, how the America forces people to fly around the certain area, and that's why there's no flight pass in that center region.
Now here's another ISS image that
this one
shows this map.
I got something else crazy to tell you about later. They not only found holes in Earth, but they found them in the moon and planets across our own solar system.
That's what that was.
That's what that picture was.
That's what I was about to ask you. I was gonna say so
this is Saturn, right? Not this one. Hang on. This is Saturn. The top of Saturn or the bottom. I don't know. One of the poles.
Okay. Holy shit. That's what I was gonna ask. I was like, okay, well, if there's a hole in Earth, there has to be holes in other planets and other moons and stuff like that. That's fucking nuts. If there really is.
Here we go. That's one of them.
That purple picture just looked like a black light,
which is said to be lights. Which you have your northern lights, and then you have.
And he also talked about the Aurora Borealis and how, I think he has a video.
And you have your oaks. However, from this opening,
this is Aurora Borealis and the.
What the hell is Aurora Borealis?
The lights in the northern pole and stuff. It circles and like. It just circulates the whole, and they say that's a possible way it could have, where they could come from, and
generate from the north.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the Aurora Borealis is coming from, it could be from that hole from those people, and there was some science behind it. It was saying something about how, just the way it reflects and some crazy science stuff. I don't remember, but they were talking about like
nuts how it's circling like that.
That's crazy.
Is the Earth hollow?
Well, I don't think it's hollow because on this scale of mass, if our Earth was hollow, and because of gravity and stuff, it would just collapse in on itself. Because
you think so?
Just the way of the theory of gravity works, it's nor ordinary matter can't sustain itself when it's hollow like that. And there's just if that's saying it was completely hollow. Obviously, if there is someone down there, it's working but it's not the whole thing. It's probably just segments. And they also mentioned that there was more than 2 holes, too. There was multiple secret tunnels leading down to the underground world or whatever. And
it just raises a lot of questions, that's for sure, like about what the hell that guy was babbling about. You know, his discovery over the North Pole, why they were trying to hush him up. You know, it really does raise a lot of questions, but you know, they could just be doing some secret military shit there, and they're
exactly.
Like, you know, they're like, no, you cannot fly through here.
It could be that too, but the way. I just don't think it's that way because of what the theory is. Like you said, it connects everything.
Yeah,
all the dots.
It connects.
It can explain so many things, and the fact that they're trying so hard to hide it, and there's so many video proof and picture proof and satellite photos showing a hole in these regions.
Yeah.
That you have to wonder. It's a possibility, definitely. Like. Why are they doing this? What is down there? Whether it be a more advanced race or whatever. But
I mean, you'll find something down there at least because, you know, that's a whole nother fossil records down there that we don't have. There's got to be. If there's no people down there, there's got to be like fossils or something.
I'm sure there's shit down there. But
yeah, you know, shit that would explain something.
Well, it explains a lot of things because it says they are a more advanced race, so they could have helped people back in when we don't we don't have tools nowadays, where they built the pyramids in Giza and shit like that. They helped them for whatever reason, and it ties a lot into the different mythologies of ancient civilizations, such as like Greece or the Celtic or Norse mythologies, because they have a lot of scriptures and stuff written about higher civilizations and pictures of crazy things like flying saucers and different shaped people, and there's just so much evidence in ancient scriptures that, not really evidence, but writings of this stuff that just kind of like make it credible that they were experiencing these things back then, and now we're experiencing these things now, or finding evidence of these things that make everything in these ancient scriptures make sense now.
Yeah,
because
it's connecting the dots, and it's not only connecting the dots. It's you're really pushing towards it because of how hard they're trying to shush it up.
But the way I wanted to connect it with the crop circles is, like you talked about, the crop circles, a lot of them were Celtic shapes or symbols or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's an ancient civilization or whatever. And
an ancient
advanced
symbol.
It could be, the Celtic symbols could be maybe their way, their language, their symbols, their way of communication or something, and that's why that could help explain crop circles. It could be aliens. Well, technically, I don't know if they'd be aliens because they'd be inhabited on the same planet as we are. But it could be them making these Celtic symbols, the ones we can explain, with their flying saucers, because flying saucers can create heat. However way they fly could do that. Could be magnetic or force or something. That's a
theory of them. A theory of them.
And because that they're Celtics, a lot of them are Celtic symbols. And because of ancient Celtic civilization with scriptures of these symbols also, and of these beings that we know nothing about, and higher beings or gods, that
exactly.
It just all ties in together.
It could really connect everything because, all these civilizations that are just lost. Well, it's that we're super advanced, like more advanced than us. I mean, are close to it. It's like, well, okay, well, what the hell happened to them? Well, maybe they just figured out that there's a damn hole in the earth, and they just went down there and figured out that they could live down there, and they, since they started basically where we are, they got super advanced. They can do all kinds of shit. It's a good theory.
But Buddhism, Judaism, Celtic, and Norse all have evidence of or have scriptures and writings of this stuff, and of a theory of having a subterranean world. It's in their writings of the possibility of them also talking about underground tunnels to other civilizations and other worlds, in the Native American, South American mythologies. It says that mankind's ancestors, like you mentioned before, emerged from underground lands, and that's where we started, and that's how like you said, the Egyptians, how they built the pyramids.
That alone would explain the brain jump in the fossil records. How our brain just doubled in size. It's one of the most unexplained things in science.
I didn't know about that.
Huh?
I had no idea about that.
Yeah, well, they just don't have the fossil records connected to it. They have up to that, and then just out of nowhere, bam, we doubled our brain size. So that could be a theory of that too. It could say, well, we didn't really double our brain size. These are new people. We just finally brought out these new species that were here all along. We just didn't know.
Could have also mated and stuff too, and reproduced.
Yeah,
having babies, giving them larger brains and whatever, being smarter and more intelligent.
I'll have to get
which could lead to us.
I'll have to get into the double brain size thing one day. There's some good theories about that too. I'm really interested in. Some of them were with mushrooms and stuff.
Also, one of the ideas, just kind of a little off or part of the same thing, but just a little extra tip or whatever. The Mayan calendar in this sentence, because they say maybe it wasn't there to measure time. Maybe it's a map leading of the underground world, and which makes sense because even in Native American and South American writings and scriptures, there is the same thing, evidence of this, and they've also built things that you would need advanced tools to be able to cut and build the way they did, which makes sense. Also, it connects those people, and it wasn't just happening in just certain areas of the world, like just Africa. It was happening in the Middle East and here in North America and Mexico and South America with the other ancient civilizations.
The one thing that'll just destroy this theory is the Earth's fucking flat, man.
Shut the fuck up. The Earth's definitely not flat. We wouldn't be living.
No,
the way physics work.
No, it just cracks me up when people are like, "The Earth's flat." You're just saying bullshit.
But it's crazy though, because like this whole time that we would think that aliens would come from somewhere else. But to be honest, they could be living literally miles beneath our feet.
That's a crazy thing.
And not even more than that, more advanced than us. Like they could have better medicine, better tools.
Oh yeah, they could have practically immortal.
They could have vehicles that don't emit massive amounts of CO2 and stuff like that, where just fuck up the world. And yeah, that's what they do. They just come out and make crop circles. But it was cool because these holes weren't only found in Earth; they were found in the Moon and in other planets,
in
like
other
Saturn.
planets, which is nuts. That's what I was gonna. That's a point I was gonna bring in. I was like, well, if the Earth has this, why the fuck are none of the other planets have it? Well, if you're finding it in all other planets, then it really does spike the likelihood of it being on Earth like that.
See, before I found the hollow Earth theory, I knew about the hollow moon theory, or I don't know if that's exactly what it's called.
I think I've heard about it.
But I've heard about it because I was watching or reading something, and the astronauts are talking about how when they landed on the moon, when they heard ringing, even from miles away where they landed. And the only way scientifically to explain this would be as if it was hollow, and there was a metallic like barrier underneath the moon's like crust or something, because of the way it rang. It was like, just I don't know the math and shit behind it, but they were saying just the way it rang, the vibrations, the waves.
Yeah.
This is what it has to be for this to be produced.
Yeah.
And which is crazy, and which
we also only see half the moon, so it's like, what the fuck is over there? We have really no idea. I mean, well, we have a pretty decent idea, but what are they telling us? They've done expeditions on the moon. They've had satellites go through and around the moon. Okay, well, what are you leaving out and not telling us that you're seeing? Because they're, to do that kind of shit, you're seeing something. You are seeing something there. You have to. Something that we're never seeing. Okay, well, tell us what it was. Well, it was just darker over there. Okay. What the fuck? Like, it had to have been something else.
Well, it's just crazy to think about, like, even if there is something, like, we've been being watched this entire time, which it could also explain, like, maybe where we came from. Maybe they put us here. I don't know.
Yeah,
it could be many different
There's millions of spin-offs that you could do from just this. If
maybe
really
we are direct descendants from them, but we're just placed here without the technology or something that they had, and just maybe we're a project, and just seeing how we, after thousands of years, see how what we do and what we do to ourselves. Maybe it's just like a science experiment for them.
Yeah.
But then again, it could be more than that. But I just want to know, like, why, if they're a more advanced civilization, why wouldn't we be working together? Why aren't we as advanced? Why aren't we using their technology?
I would think only because, one, they don't allow us. That's the only reason.
I could see that. But then again, it could be our government just hiding everything from us. So that's why the
I
Area
think
51.
if the government found resources there and everything, and like a whole nother planet of more advanced civilization, they'd be all over that shit.
Well, they might be though, but maybe for different purposes. Because in the world we live in, it's ran by power, greed, and money, and so we could be using that technology for bad, like weapons, and flying saucers, and just weaponry instead of using it for making the Earth a better place or a better world in general. And so
our first thought is always war.
But hang on, I have some more shit. There was also maps and documents depicting underground like layers and tunnels and secret tunnels found
like
by
labyrinth down there.
Found by the Third Reich, which is Nazi Germany, and they have their own maps and shit of these tunnels. And a man named Karl Unger was in a German U-boat, who wrote letters that the crew had reached in the interior of the Earth. And when they got there, because he wrote in like his journals and diaries and secret diaries and shit, and he talked about how the place they found, which was basically descripted the same way as like Richard Byrd, is like there was advanced civilization, there was lush green lands and animals and people and shit like that. And he talked about not ever wanting to come back and shit. I don't know if he did or not. I didn't look into that. But another crazy thing, they found a pyramid in Antarctica.
Oh yeah. I actually looked into that. Yeah, when I was doing the Antarctica one, the pyramid. I know what you're talking about. That's fucking nuts.
But what I want to say crazy about that is, if that is there in Antarctica, I want to know, was it built when Antarctica was right there, or was it built millions of years before that?
Yeah.
When Antarctica wasn't down there anymore, it was, shifted up here or something, more land mass was together, it wasn't been broken off yet. How long they've been around?
Exactly. What's the carbon dating on them things? How old are them?
But the pyramid is also identical to the ones in Giza, and the photos I found of the pyramid, it looked like there was like other ones too. Like I think I counted at least 2 other ones.
I think on the when I was doing research on it, I wanted to say that they found 3 of them, but don't quote me on that. I don't really know.
Well, I think I only saw 2 other ones, and then the biggest main one was like in between them, which is just crazy. But the best argument against this hollow Earth theory, when like we mentioned, was gravity, and which I don't really have, and we don't have an explanation for it because we don't fucking know, or we don't know. They might know.
Yeah.
Like the government or something might know how it's all working, because they've probably assumed have tried to get in contact with them in some way. Like you just don't find that and not try to see what the fuck's up.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I'm assuming since they are more advanced civilization, that they would have some sort of gravity field. I don't know what the fuck. Shit to manipulate gravity. But because of our the theory of gravity and stuff being in the Earth's crust, they wouldn't feel an outward pull. Hang on. Because of the way massive objects and like solids form when planets like and stars come together, they wouldn't form hollow. That just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. They would smash into each other and form solid and just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And so obviously it would have been man-made. The holes or something fucked up happened. They did something.
Or like we got hit by a big ass meteor right there, and then like in the formation, like where the moon hit the Earth. Like what the fuck if that's where the moon hit the Earth, and then when it was forming through that, it just formed the tunnel,
Possibly.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We can spitball all day,
According to the theory of gravity, ordinary matter isn't strong enough to support a hollow shape of planetary size against the force of gravity, of that size against the force of gravity.
Yeah.
And because of the theory of gravity, the beings inside the crust would not feel an outward pull, but then again, they wouldn't be able to stand on the inner part of the planet, and they would feel nearly weightless. So they would have to have some gravitational force or some shit.
Yeah,
to keep them down on the ground.
To be alive down there.
To be able just to walk around and drive and fly and shit.
That's nuts.
But that's basically all for that theory. But it's just crazy because this theory just connects so many different dots, and that's why it just makes it more believable. And that how
a decent amount of evidence pointing
like
towards
physical evidence too, and just it's just crazy. I wish I could go there someday. That'd be nuts.
Yeah, let's fucking buy a ticket and we'll just go.
I don't think we can buy. We'd have to go on our own.
I was looking. We'd
have to get
tickets
a plane
of Antarctica or whatever, and it was like $80,000 for a round trip. And that's not even. You don't even get a land on Antarctica.
Probably just fly over it.
No, it's not even. It's a boat. You just go. They just go like, there it is. Look at it. All right, we're turning around. Like that's.
Well, actually, now I think about it, which could be why, like you mentioned the other day about how the whole world has to agree if people go down to Antarctica and shit like that. Was that you told me that?
Yeah.
Everyone could know. Maybe that's why there's only scientists that are allowed to go down there. Yeah, and that's what they're doing and shit down there.
Exactly.
Possibly. But it's just a crazy theory that...
Oh,
but it seems very credible, and I'm sure there's plenty more to it than what I said. This was just about like 3 hours of research because I was busy as fuck doing other shit. But
I didn't get it into my topic as much as I wanted, but I think we gave some good material out here. Let's kind of transition here to our other topic.
I'm gonna pee real quick.
Actually, I have to pee too. So when you get back. Drinking only water for this fast is pretty bad. I feel like I have the bladder of an 80-year-old lady. It's pretty bad. It's horrible. As I drink more water. The fast isn't too bad, though. After a few days, it kind of adjusts, and you really don't feel hungry anymore. It's not bad. We're going to get through it. 7 days. Piece of cake. We're animals. Hurry the hell up. I'm peeing now, too. You can pee.
But because of our fast and not eating and stuff, not eating carbs, which carbs themselves help you, well not help, retains more water in your body. And if you go on, like I say, a ketogenic diet or even a fast, you're within a week, your body could drop anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds of water weight just because of processed carbs and sugars hold in an excess amount of water that your body doesn't need. So therefore, when you're not eating that stuff, every time you take a drink of water, you have to piss 15 minutes later because your body just doesn't hold it in. It just uses what it needs. Probably stores some for the survival purposes. But
what's that time? 8:04.
We're an hour and 4 minutes in.
We're doing fine. So let's transition to our other topic of the night.
Stupid more crazy things.
Yeah, we're
research-based, opinion-based.
Yeah, this is all opinion-based. This is a what-ifs, and there's no evidence really supporting this. This is just us bullshitting, And so we're going to talk about the zombie apocalypse, if there ever was one.
And what we would do and how we would react.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'll let you go first, Christian, if you want, or unless you want me to go first. I don't care.
I don't know exactly what I'd do, but I have just a good.
Give us a good general idea. So say, after this podcast right now, you look out the window and there's people biting each other and zombies are happening right now.
Well, shit.
You guys should panic, by the way.
I don't have my car because it's in Logansport because I couldn't drive it back because my license is suspended.
Oh, yeah.
For that dumb shit.
Bullshit still going on.
But in this case, I wouldn't care about my license. I'd drive anyways.
Yeah.
I probably... Alright, if it happened right after this podcast, I'd have you and Carly here. So we would probably drive somewhere where there's shelter and guns that's not highly populated would be the first thing. Or to get my friends and family together who are nearby and then leave together. Because the more people we have, the better chance we stand against zombies. And I think you have a pistol. I don't have any weapons here. I have them all in a gun safe.
What's
back in Logansport, or the one gun I have.
Let's clarify. We're talking regular, slow zombies. We're not talking like War Z fast zombies. We're not talking that shit. I don't want to fuck with them zombies. We'll talk about cool zombies that are slow and easy to kill.
Well, since they would be slow and easy to kill, I'd definitely would probably not use weapons the majority of the time, and if I did, probably silence. I'd put silencers on them. I'd probably learn how to use a katana, or I would definitely use a katana.
Or some
I'd
sort
get
of
knives
weapon,
and shit like that. That way I don't ever run out of bullets. And it's an easy kill, plus it's silent. You just chop off their head. And since it's silent, you want to be able to attract more zombies near you, having to face them off, and eventually using a gun, which only is just a fucking snowball effect, because the more come, the more you have to shoot, the more they even come, and then eventually you're going to run out of bullets and die. And then you can't use your katana or knives because there'll be just too many. You'll just die.
Yeah, you'll be swarmed. You can't fight a swarm like
but
that.
I would, after I get all my friends and family here in Fort Wayne near me, I would probably drive somewhere more secluded. Probably a good option would probably be your house, because I know you have a bunch of weapons and shit, and you live in a town where there's 200 people.
Yeah.
So you're very secluded. And you have guns and lots of guns and shit and ammo.
Yeah, we do.
So that would be a good place to go. And then probably after that, we would probably start just gathering supplies. Before it got too crazy, I'd want to get out, go to grocery stores, loot, shit like that, get water, food, everything I need, or enough to last a while. And then on the drive down there, I'd probably call up my friends and family, be like, hey, you need to get all your guns, your shit, your food, you need to drive at this location, you come here now.
Yeah.
And at that point, I would probably just defend myself and go out and scavenge as much as when I need and stuff.
Just go on scavenging runs and.
If the whole world assuming the whole world is probably going to be taken over, so at that point, basically, it's just a survival day-to-day basis. But every day, I'd be working with tech, trying to advance weaponry and just figuring shit out. At that point, it's just trying to advance yourself and stay alive. But I don't know much more than that.
All right, you want me to start throwing exactly?
I'm sure there's a bunch of shit I probably left out, but
yeah, a little bit. So what time we got? All right, we got plenty of time. So zombie apocalypse is going on right now. This is exactly what I would do. First thing I would do is pack a duffel bag, just a duffel bag. I would throw knives, weapons, and stuff like that into the duffel bag. I got a fire starter. I got lighters. I'd throw all that in there. Then I would get out of the apartment complex that we're in, take you guys with me, my friends, and my first stop would be a museum. Why a museum, you might ask? Well, it's because they have the best fucking weapons on Earth, because they're in a museum. They're meant to be there. They are legendary weapons that are not going to break. I will never have a problem with them.
You've thought about this.
Yeah, I've thought way about this. I will never have a problem with these weapons. So, I go there. I arm up even more. You know, I'm driving teen in my truck. Drive her out. Okay, after that, after the museum, because no one's going to the museum, they're all going to the grocery stores to get food. Well, I already know how to get food from the land and get water from the land and purify all that. That's my last resort right there. I don't need any of that shit. I can hunt and fish. It's fine. No problem. I don't need any of that. Whatever. I'm just going to avoid the chaos. So now I'm going to drive to my family. And I know that my brother will be doing approximately the same shit that I'm doing, and he'll be fine. So we'll regroup. My family will regroup, you know, whoever's not a zombie. And from there, then my weapon of choices would be a spear. A spear because it's hand-to-hand and silent, but yet I'm far enough away. Mm-hmm. I'm not. There's a little risk of me getting, you know, injured at all. Then I would have probably a Bowie knife and a .357 revolver, and it would say you know, well, that's a big gun or whatever. Well, what that gun would be for is not really killing zombies. It would be for killing animals. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to be.
I was about to question that too. I was like, why don't you just pick something else, like just a 9mm that could hold like twice the amount of ammo?
No, I want a .357 because that gun will kill whatever animal I come across. Like
which you could use for food.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I could be trying to survive out in the woods and there's zombies everywhere, and then out of nowhere a fucking bear comes at me. Well, at least I'm not gonna stab at him with a spear like old days. No, I'll just pull a gun out.
You with it.
Yeah, I'll just pull a gun out and kill the fucking bear. It'd be way simpler. I would also like to have a silenced .22 long rifle, which is tiny little bullets.
Yeah.
And the reason I would do that,
very quiet even without a silencer.
Oh yeah, they're super quiet, and you silence them, they're almost
probably
just
nothing.
like a poo poo, like
a little
silent
fart.
No noise, pretty much. And the reason I would do that is because with that gun, I can shoot accurately at 200 yards pretty rapidly. If I'm using a 10-22 semi-automatic gun, I can shoot pretty rapidly, and so in theory, what zombies is headshots. So I can shoot accurately and rapidly and silently all in one. Mm-hmm. And so I can do headshots with the .22, which there's been tests done at .22. Well, tests and people have died. At .22 will go through the skull, but it won't go out. So it'll just bounce around in there and kill zombies. Yeah. It'd be perfect. Not to mention, I wouldn't want the big gun because big gun means big bullets. I can't carry very many bullets. So with this little gun, I can have like 5,000 rounds in my back pocket. Like I just have them there, and just 5,000 rounds is a fuck ton of ammo. Plus, I can shoot squirrels, I can shoot small game with this gun, and it'd be silent. It utilizes hunting. I can hunt better and, you know, do all these things way better. Then, after I'm armed, and I'm going to camp wherever I can camp at this point. I'm going to go to the woods to camp. That's my territory. That's what I'm best at. So, from there, I'm going to slowly make my way down to mountains. I would go into mountains, and the reason to go into the mountains is because...
Well, they're secluded, not really cities on mountains.
Secluded, plus the theory of zombies is that they're mindless. They're just roaming around, right? Well, zombies aren't going to climb up a mountain. They're going to be stumbling and roaming around. They're going to end up down the mountain. So I can go up into the mountain, live there in caves or whatever. I could probably build a whole house there for all I wanted. And I could be completely safe of all the zombies because they're all going to be they're going to be wandering, keep wandering, and then they're going to go downhill just with everything. It's just what they would do.
Makes
so
sense.
They're going to all go downhill. I could survive up there into the mountain. I could have some decent water, some water from the top of the mountain, which I would still purify though because zombies, you don't want to die, but and then so that would probably I think would be the best bet is to just bug out first to get the hell out of all these places. But then I kind of wonder, I'm like, okay, well, how would you travel from here to there? Well, I would firstly use a vehicle, And if that wasn't working, or if I ran out of gas, then I would look for horses. I would try traveling with horses because it's basically another sense for you. Horses will freak out if zombies get near them or anything like that, or there's some zombies around. They'll, you'll be alerted easier. It's like a
animals can
system.
recognize things easier than humans.
Yeah,
exactly. For a lot of different things.
And so that would just help out. And so I would have an ancient spear that's sturdy as shit. Some fucking king had it, so it was the best possibly made spear of the time.
Gold.
And the spear's damn near invincible. It's gonna be a great ass spear. I'd have a good ass knife, and I would worry about clothes like later. I would just scavenge them probably off of zombies. Clothes would be like my least priority. I wouldn't even slightly worry about that.
I just want clothing that would cover myself up so I don't get like things like scratch.
Exactly.
And then eventually padding.
Eventually,
where,
I would
they can't
go
bite
into
through or some crazy stuff like that.
Eventually, I would go into military bases that got overran by zombies, and I would find Kevlar, a Kevlar suit, because zombies aren't biting fucking through Kevlar or scratching or whatever. If you just had a full Kevlar suit, you're fine. I mean, it's gonna hurt like hell if they're biting your arm or whatever. It'll probably hurt, but it's not gonna puncture it, and you'll be fine. So that would be the best bet. But that's a thing after you're established in one spot. Then you could try and go scavenge for those things like that. Plus, not to mention, a good way of effectively eradicating a lot of zombies would be fire. Just simply burning woods down, like the entire forest. Just light it all on fire, burn it all. Just fucking light it all on fire. And the reason it would burn so well is because the clothes that the zombies were wearing would eventually get, weathered and dried out and everything. And I bet you could just light them on fire easily. And, they're all clustered up, or you could make some noise to get them clustered up and just throw gasoline on them fuckers.
Molotovs.
Yeah, Molotovs, and just light them.
You easily make a Molotov.
It would be the easiest way to eradicate all of them. But, that's just to think, like, these theories would all work well if it's not like an airborne pathogen that causes zombies. That's where all these theories would work. If zombies really did come, we would have absolutely, it'd probably be something. It could be fast zombies. I'd have to completely replan everything. If they were fast zombies, my first option, if they were fast as fucking, strong as fuck, is I would just get the hell out of here. I wouldn't even take anything. I would take a few weapons and I would just run.
Just get to a secluded area.
Yeah, you'd have to book it. That's all you could do in that situation. And go on the fly with it. Pick up what you can and fucking run. But the other thing that would have to happen is, so I wear contacts. And I mean, I could get glasses and stuff like that. But like medical things like that would have to be scavenged later on, and so I would have to run on my contacts that I got and use those for a while, but then eventually I'm going to run out, and eventually I'm going to need some, so you'd have to scavenge big places, go in there and try and do scavenge runs, which you would get good at. I would also have string. It's a simple thing. I would just have a decent couple strands of string, and that's just for simply like, well, if I could feel like killing the zombie, he'd just come at me, I just loop the string around his arms, just fucking tie him up. Like, that zombie's done.
That's one way. You could use string for different things.
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably just kill him with a katana.
Oh, yeah.
Or the spear. But
and then with the spear, what you could do is you could slash the tendons of their legs, behind their knees, and that would drop them. It would drop them, and then you could spear them in the head, in the back of the head. So you could run sneakily with it, slash, bring them down super easy. You were 8 feet away the whole time.
So now, if they were like slow zombies like that, I don't even think that'd be the main problem you're worrying about. I'd be probably worrying about other people.
Oh yeah, other
stupid people. Like I feel like the best way would be everyone to cooperate, but not everyone thinks that way.
It would be chaos. So like the main problem you would run into in a situation like that is some other human that's not a zombie. That would be the main problem you would run into, which is why I would have guns, too. And I would be damn good with the guns, which I'm already pretty damn good with guns, but I'd be way better than I am now. You know, I'd be good at quick drawing my gun as quick as I could. You'd have to be. I'd be good at hand-to-hand combat. It would just all be...
I feel like if I would like establish like a little like civilization with the group of people I have, I feel like I would implement like training, shooting.
Oh
how
yeah,
to
you
use
would have to,
knives, weapons. Everyone has to be able to be independent and survive for themselves.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be depending on anyone,
exactly.
especially in a situation like this. Because if everyone can take care of themselves, then we won't have to worry about anything because everyone can take care of themselves because they were properly trained. Which,
yeah.
I mean, we should still help out each other, but it just leaves a lot less room for error because everyone knows how to fight or shoot a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just teach everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to teach them on the spot, like, oh, there's a zombie. I don't know how to shoot this thing. I don't know where the safety's at. I don't know how to load it or cock it.
Yeah.
If you just teach them it prior, you
yeah.
don't have to worry about that situation.
Exactly.
And they could just be holding the gun.
Plus, you
or
guys
a
can
katana
defend
and kill
yourself
someone.
over other people trying to take your shit. They're like, well, you got a nice place over here. We're bigger and badder. We're just going to fucking take it. That's how it used to work with humans, and that's how it would immediately go back to if something like this would happen. All the order and chaos that we took so long to develop would just go out the window immediately.
Yeah, I agree.
If there
and
was
we still have a
zombie
lot
apocalypse, I could shank your ass right then, and I wouldn't get in trouble.
I ain't gonna worry about you. The government doesn't matter
Right?
anymore.
I'll just
Everyone
ship ya
needs to
dead.
fucking survive because
Look,
this
I
is this
never
apocalypse.
liked Christian anyways.
Motherfucker, I'll kill you first.
So, what are we at?
We got like 8 minutes.
So let's kind of wrap this up. That was a little bit of some bullshitting with some zombies here. So we're trying to get some more guests on, like we've been saying. We're working on that.
We won't have one next week. We won't have one the week after either because that dude will be in Florida or something on the beach. So they won't be able to come in the next week after this week.
Yeah. So that's just one of the people we're trying to get on. I got a few ideas of some other people I got to run through with Christian after, and we're really working on it. We're trying to, and in the meantime, when we're not having guests, we're trying to throw some interesting topics at you guys. At least we're trying to do a little bit of research on ourselves and still have great conversations while we're doing this.
If you guys would like us to research or investigate any certain topic or theory, conspiracy theory, and go into in-depth research about it, just leave it in the comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely some we would look into.
If there's some topics you want talked about on here that we're not touching yet, or we haven't talked about that we're gonna talk,
And I know there's an infinite amount of topics out there. So
oh yeah, I have a giant list of topics that I plan on talking about. Just the problem with them is most of them I'm wanting guests for, which is the problem. But if there's just some topics out there you guys want us to talk about and to go into,
and do our own research on,
and we'll try our best. We're not gonna become experts in the shit. We're not gonna have PhDs in whatever it is, but we'll research it.
We will take the studies from the people who do have PhDs.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna steal the shit from smart people and then have a smart conversation.
Yes.
And so yeah, we're trying to have some interesting things, but like you say, if we're missing out on some topics that you're just dying to hear about or dying for us to talk about, we'll leave some comments. Also, like you say, we're still looking for people on the podcast, so if you have any ideas of that or any suggestions of some good people that are local in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
They don't even have to be like scientists. They could be like,
because
we want like local rappers and producers who
we're looking for
having
interesting
them on.
People
are doing things.
Yeah, people are doing things with their life that are maybe not necessarily different, but they're successful in their own way, and they're interesting. We want to talk about interesting things.
We will just interview them, see what their life's like, what they do, what they
enjoy. And so, like I said, we're working on things, we're trying to get the other camera around, and we're trying to improve this thing a little bit by little bit. But it'll just take some time, and I think we're having a little bit better of conversations than compared to what we were. And we're gonna keep you updated on our fast too. So when we tune back in next week, also we won't be airing Monday. Next Monday we'll be airing next Tuesday. Monday's Memorial Day, so we will
Tuesday at 7 p.m. May.
Yep, Tuesday at 7.
I don't know what day it is. May something.
The 22nd of May, I think. No, that's not the fuck. That's this next Tuesday. Yeah, I'll just look it up real fast. But yeah, we'll be airing that next Tuesday instead of Monday, but it'll be the same time, airing at 7.
Over something.
Yeah, we haven't quite got the topics over that one yet, but like I said, we're kind of hoping to have some people on the podcast yet,
but they couldn't this week.
Yeah, they couldn't quite get it done this next week, and which is fine. We'll have them on eventually. We're just scheduling errors is all, but it's the 29th. Good Lord. 29th. We'll be airing next episode, and
it'll be our 5th episode.
And by then our fast will be done, so we'll give you guys an update on the fast. That'll be Monday will be our 7th day, right?
We started
today,
so yeah. Sunday will be our last day of fasting. Yeah. Monday will be our first day back to normal, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll give you guys an update and tell you how it was. I'll probably try and keep like some notes down of day to day what it was like, and
I'll also be keeping like at the end of each day I'll be posting something on Twitter or whatever about my experiences, how I felt,
What's your Twitter?
It's in all our Twitter and description and our Instagrams, even for our podcast Twitter and Instagrams, all in the description, so you can just look at those. You want to follow them, whatever. Yeah. Show some love, leave some love on some pictures.
Yeah, yeah. We're trying to get out there a little bit, get our name out there, and like I said, I think with just getting some guests on will help that a lot too. Having some other people, that way you don't just have to hear us every time. But we're trying to make it interesting for you. But I think that's a wrap on this one.
It is a wrap.
I think. Thanks for tuning in on. This has been the long trip. Tell your friends.
And we out.